Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. So I want to talk about Don Jr. And honestly, it's Donald Trump's fault that we're here. He ramped up the rhetoric to this degree. There was an attempted assassination on him. And guess what? It was a Republican that did it. As far as anyone can tell, he's a registered Republican. So anyway, yeah, I want to listen to what Don Jr. has to say here. I think this might be his first episode after the assassination attempt. His podcast is called Triggered, by the way. It's so stupid. While we watch, we're going to play some Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Should just be in the background, won't bother you too much. You never played before. I'm just now coming to find that I am not centered in this, and it's going to bother me to Kingdom Come if I don't fix it. So let me fix it. Let's give this a listen, shall we?
A worthless coward tried to kill my father. He grazed his ear. He was less than an inch away from killing him.
Oh my God, it was so close. And by the way, before we continue listening, let me just put it on record. I do not believe in assassination attempts. I don't want to live in a society where violence is an answer to anything. Yeah, I know that some people view violence as an answer, like Trump supporters. Yeah, they view it as an answer. That should not dictate my view on morality or society or whatever. I will not let scumbags dictate how I view the world. I don't care if they stand for violence. I do not. So, anyway, let's keep listening here.
The shooter did kill a man named Corey, a great fireman and a hero who was in the crowd. As we mentioned, Ronnie, your family was there, and one of them was actually hit in this terrible tragedy. So it's the first time I'm really talking about that. But it was also an amazing moment in the sense that I got to see, everyone sort of thinks they're a badass these days, right, on the internet, right? I think Mike Tyson said it best. Everyone's got a little too comfortable talking shit without someone actually being in their face. And it was an amazing thing watching my father come up defiant.
Oh, give me a break. Suddenly his dad is like a warrior who backs up what he says. Like Donald Trump was over there like fighting the he was catching the bullets in his teeth or something. Give me a break, dude. I don't blame Trump for this reaction that he had at all. I'd have the same reaction. He dropped to the floor when he heard what was happening, or when he realized what was going on. And apparently he dropped to the floor so hard that it knocked his shoes off. I don't know why his shoes were off. Maybe he takes them off when he gives a speech. I don't know. Anyway, I would do the same thing. That's the point. I do the same thing. You are not a hard ass for that, okay? Strong men like this, people who want to depict this ridiculous air of power the way that Donald Trump wants to depict, you gotta shoot this down when you see it. Don't let them get away with this. Donald Trump, God, how do I say this in a monetizer-friendly way? Donald Trump, instead of grabbing things that he likes to grab, became one himself. Put it that way. He is not a strong man at all.
Everyone thinks they're going to be tough in a moment of crises or a moment of fire like that, and actually seeing that was truly crazy. The assassination attempt followed years, obviously, of disgusting lies from Democrats in the media.
Yeah, it was Democrats' fault. Democrats are the ones that are ramping up the rhetoric. He's literally doing it right now. He's doing it now. This is the problem right here.
Around.
And again, it was a Republican, okay? A Republican did it.
My father, they said he's going to be a dictator and democracy is literally over if he wins. They've said he's a threat to the nation.
He is.
Compared him to Hitler and Stalin and Mussolini. And I think we all found...
Well, I mean, Donald Trump compares Donald Trump to those things. He literally quotes Hitler when he talks about, like, cultural communism and stuff. That is a Hitler term. But okay.
I note that these lies have consequences. Again, Ronnie, as someone with your nephew actually being injured, it's not just about my father or the politics, but innocent people who are on the way. There's also a litany of open questions about how this was able to happen. But
yeah, that's really weird. The Secret Service should have. There's something not right here. I don't know what, but the Secret Service should have ensured that this did not happen. This exact thing is not supposed to happen. That's why they're there. And it did. So, yeah. Quick interjection. This won't take long, I promise. I just want to say I'd appreciate it if you check my Patreon. OwenMorgan.com/Patreon to find it. YouTube's algorithm goes up and down, so I can never predict where it's going to be. Having patrons gives me some level of stability. Okay, back to the video.
My father took a bullet, and he's going to keep fighting. He's a leader that America needs now, and that's as clear as ever. Whether it's the wars, whether it's the economies, that kind of strength, that kind of resolve is exactly what we need. So the least I think we could all do is turn out and vote and deliver a landslide in November. But in better news...
What? I thought that there was cheating. What happened to the whole cheating thing? Isn't it impossible for him to win? Why are you encouraging people to come out if it's a lost cause? These people are so full of shit.
My father made an amazing decision today with Senator J.D. Vance as his running mate.
Oh, that's right. J.D. Vance is the VP.
I've gotten to know J.D. very well over the last few years. He's a true champion for America First values because he's seen just how great this nation can be. He was born into abject poverty in Appalachia. He joined the Marine Corps out of high school, then went to college and Yale Law, and now became a successful businessman and now senator. And he just became the...
Dude doesn't know abject poverty, okay? I know abject poverty. I've seen it. I've been there. I've experienced it. If you go to Yale, you almost certainly do not know abject poverty.
A Republican vice presidential nominee at 39. He's the embodiment of the American dream. If you don't know anything about his story, check it out. Read his book, Hillbilly Elegy. This is a guy that understands the American dream.
He's a colossal scumbag.
And he wants to make that dream possible for future generations. So he's just a strong supporter of my father's, his policies, stance against China, and really the hardworking men and women of this country. So,
interestingly enough, the Kremlin, Russia's version of the White House, publicly announced we did not send Viktor Orban with a secret message to Mar-a-Lago to deliver to Donald Trump that we want him to pick J.D. Vance as as Donald Trump's vice president. We did not do that. Viktor Orban, leader of Hungary, visited Mar-a-Lago recently. That's a weird thing to deny, right? That's oddly specific. Huh. Okay, well, I didn't think that they did that before, but now I'm starting to wonder if they did. I don't trust anything that Donald Trump does. Anything. I believe he is a traitor to the country.
With that, I'm going to go right to all of you guys. This is sort of an interesting panel. I guess I got to start off with Newt. I don't want to say elder statesman because you're just...
Oh my God, Newt Gingrich. He's terrible.
Experienced.
And certainly compared to JD, I'm an elder statesman.
We're all a little older. I see my friends these days, and I see their kids, and I feel a lot older than I used to feel.
You wonder how they're getting to be so much older.
That's the thing. When I start thinking of my friends' children as old, that's when the realization comes. But Mr. Speaker, this thing on Saturday. Obviously, I don't want to be the guy to get conspiratorial about it, but I don't
But I'm gonna get conspiratorial about it.
As a guy that's a shooter and a hunter and has been around protection details, I don't know how someone gets on an open rooftop 150 yards away from the presumptive nominee of a major party in the
Yeah, that should not have happened.
United States. But how long do you think this violence has been building? How much more of this stuff have we not even seen that we're that close? Because it's truly a perilous moment in our history.
Well, it's frightening.
These people are responsible for that. They did this, okay? Nobody was saying, I hope that blah dies before Donald Trump came along. That wasn't happening before Trump. He ramped this up. He is like the responsible party here. And if you want to cool down the rhetoric, the first person you should talk to is Donald Trump. But of course, they're going to blame everybody around them except for themselves. They're not going to take a look in the mirror, right?
Started telling people about 4 months ago that if they couldn't succeed in putting your father in orange and locking him up.
This is literally the problem right here.
That the next stage would be to try to kill him. And the
oh my God.
reason is he is a mortal threat to the left. He is the first person they face who's both smart enough and tough enough to take on the entire national establishment and win.
Okay, mortal threat means a threat to the life of somebody. So he's saying that Trump is a threat to the lives of people on the left, I guess. Yeah, I think I can agree with that. I feel like my life is threatened by him, sure.
Win.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, their whole way of life is at stake.
Yeah, somebody says, isn't Trump always orange? What do you mean he's going to be put in orange later? He's already orange. It's a good point. Lady Bad Ash.
And they know no bounds. I mean, some of the stuff that's been said since the shooting has been horrendous.
Oh, yeah, no, they can't. I actually had it happen to me on the floor. Maybe I think we have that clip up, right? You get to see this. I get to the floor. I'm a Florida delegate. My brother was, I guess, the chief delegate for Florida. And that was, they gave us the privilege of sort of throwing my father over the threshold to get the actual nominee. And I'm taking questions from press, and they're asking about J.D. Vance because that was announced 5 minutes before. And literally, the guy starts off with, so is this going to be, this is MS, I call it MSDNC, but it's MSNBC. This is going to be a bringing back the Trump vitriol and hatred. I go, well, was it Trump vitriol or was it you guys? I mean, you guys were the...
Wait, so he was describing a situation in which a guy was saying, are you going to cool your rhetoric down? And Don Jr. is like turning it around and saying, are you going to cool your rhetoric down? I don't understand. Like, what point is he trying to make here?
The ones that called us traitors.
Like, he's presenting this like it's a W.
You guys were the ones that lied about Russia. You guys were the...
No, Russia was not a lie. That whole Russiagate thing, Donald Trump absolutely did work with Russia. Beyond a question of a doubt, he did.
The ones that lied about Joe Biden's competency. And then well, are you putting children back in cages? I just said, you mean the Obama cages? Because everyone knows that's the case.
Sure. The Obama cages. Yeah, those. Are you putting kids in them or not? That's the question. I care about what you're doing with kids. My God, dude. And while we're talking about that, did you hear Jeffrey Epstein's client list released? Anyway, I'm sorry. I get worked up over this shit sometimes. Also, about Obama cages or whatever, this is obviously complete misrepresentation of the situation, but fine. I don't even give a shit. Yes, the Obama cages. Whatever.
Oh my, the hatred from this guy. And I just said it. I go, you guys, I called it MSDNC, and I think I called him a clown, but you couldn't even wait 48 hours. They just tried to kill my...
What? Their job is literally to ask you questions. Are you serious? What do you think they're going to do? Go there and stand there with their arms crossed, just staring into the void? What did he expect?
Father, I mean...
but remember, the pre-Trump Republicans understood that their job was to kowtow to the media.
Yeah.
Their job was to say, oh, yeah, I feel really bad about whatever you want.
Yeah, definitely. Pre-Trump Republicans thought they were supposed to just obey the media. Absolutely. That's why we have people like John MacArthur, famous Republican televangelist, going on Larry King Live. Wait. Arguing with Gavin Newsom that gay marriage should be illegal. Hang on, I'm sorry. Let me just find this. This is a good one. Yeah, here. This is a clip right here. 2004. And you know why this was happening right now? At this moment in time? I'll tell you why. Because George W. Bush was trying to push a constitutional amendment to legally ban gay marriage permanently for everybody.
Well, of course, not all couples are going to have children, but only couples that are male and female are going to have children. And the only way you procreate the race is between a man and a woman. So built into the fabric of human society is, of course, the male, female, and the producing of a child. That, as I said, is the DNA. It's the genetic structure of civilization.
So I guess nobody should get married if they're incapable of having children. Or should they get divorced if they can't have kids anymore?
Done everything we can throughout history. Just about every every civilization has done everything it can to protect the sanctity of marriage, because they understand not only do you produce the life, but you want to bring the life to the standards and the values that are precious, that are important, to create a civilized environment in which to live.
What's your argument, Mayor, against the logic of that statement? Genetically, DNA, it's man and woman. It's what the marriage, and are we being semantic? So call it liberal union, call it gay.
In 1948, Larry, these were the same. There were not dissimilar arguments, not quite analogous.
They were exactly the same arguments against interracial marriage.
About the fact that races were put on separate continents around the world because God decreed that they shouldn't in any way, shape, or form procreate. And the point is, some of these arguments are increasing. I mean, they're just reminiscent. With respect,
I mean, they're carbon copies.
To the pastor. I just, I'm a practicing Catholic. I got married in the church 2+ years. I don't see what we're doing in terms of advancing the bond of love and monogamy and extending that to families of same sex, in any way, shape, or form, takes away anything from the church or the sanctity of the union that my wife and I have.
It doesn't take any of that away. The point is, these people apparently think that... Wait, where is it? Where'd we go? I lost it. Oh, here it is. These people
feel really bad about
apparently think that Republicans before Donald Trump were just like super timid, just nice guys, didn't want to argue too much. What are you talking about right now? They were scumbags, okay? They were the biggest scumbags alive, and they reveled in it. It's just that somehow they found a way to be even bigger scumbags when Trump came along. I mean, honestly impressive at this point, but okay.
And now you have a whole new generation.
Yeah.
I don't think you could kowtow to anybody. But
no, Senator Zuckerberg, he doesn't do any kowtowing. That's for sure. And by the way,
what a weird term.
We need that though, because they've had this blank slate. And that's why, honestly, everyone knows I've been pushing for JD for a long time. But because he'll go on CNN, he'll go on. He doesn't just do the sort of hometown stuff, but he's also so good and articulate. He doesn't just accept their narrative. January 6th was an insurrection. It's like, no, that's ridiculous. Stop.
No, it absolutely was an insurrection, but okay.
I can't wait for the debate.
Oh, no. No, my man. We're going to screen it live. I'll do my commentary, but the vice presidential debate, J.D. Vance versus Kamala Harris, is going to be incredible. But take 2 seconds and watch this clip. This is literally 48 hours after my father was literally shot, 5 minutes after they announced the vice presidential candidate. And this guy is trying to pretend that it was Trump that put migrant children in cages. I mean, everyone knows it was...
I mean, that did, in fact, happen. Donald Trump was doing that.
Obama, everyone knows it's significantly worse now under Joe Biden.
It is not significantly worse under Biden. Biden has put a concerted effort into reuniting families. But okay, just lie, I guess, yeah. Go ahead and lie brazenly, as he does, okay?
But it doesn't matter. They literally can't help themselves. So... honestly, like I'm trying to stay above it, but it's hard to think anything other than whatever disdain you already have for our media. It's not enough. Check this out.
What is that change going to look like, Don? What practically, your father as president, I think you would even say, was a divisive figure. What's it going to look like in the second term?
I don't think he was a divisive figure at all. I think the
Really? You don't think Donald Trump was a divisive figure?
media created divisiveness around him. They lied about Russia collusion. They said he was a traitor. They went after him in every which way.
Like, all of those things are true. He did, in fact, collude with Russia.
It's possible if the media actually starts being an honest broker, talking about the things that he did, the prosperity he brought, the peace deals that he signed around the world, rather than the disaster that we're living right now. I think you'd do everyone in the country a big favor.
Dude, I am so lost in this game. I have no clue where I'm going right now. What am I supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to be, like, going down or something? Like, what the hell? I don't have any clue what's happening. I'm just, like, lost. All right, whatever.
Immigration's important to him. I covered the family separation crisis closely. Will we continue to see policies like separating 5,000 children deliberately from their parents?
You mean the Obama administration?
You know they didn't do that, sir.
Okay, sure.
Will there be a...
And also, I don't give a shit. It's called whataboutism. It's irrelevant. I don't care what happened there. I'm talking about Donald Trump's presidency. What happened under him? Sure, condemn Obama. Are you condemning Obama with that statement? If so, then he's condemning his own dad as well.
second family separation policy.
It's MSDNC, so I expect nothing less from you clowns. Even today, even 48 hours later, you couldn't wait. You couldn't wait with your lies and with your nonsense. So just get out of here.
You know.
Wow. What a colossal scumbag. The dude's job is literally to ask questions. That is what he is there to do.
We couldn't really hear it on studio, but you sort of heard the explanation of what I gave. I mean, 48 hours after that incident, and your nephew was literally hit by this bullet.
Right.
I guess he was standing next to the gentleman, Corey, that was killed.
Yeah.
You know, what is it for you as someone? You know, it just.
You know, one of the worst things about the assassination attempt, there are a couple of good things, a couple of bad things. Good thing number one, maybe, hopefully, possibly, this will make people realize that we need to tone down the extremist rhetoric desperately. Everybody now sees what it leads to. That's like best case scenario. The worst thing about this whole situation is that Donald Trump's going to be walking around like he's 50 Cent now, talking about how he got shot 9 times and he doesn't walk with a limp or whatever.
These days, all of this stuff seems so far away, right? It's so distant. It's hard to relate even. But, I mean, as someone who had a family member that was literally hit by this, and 48 hours later, they're talking about a nonsense story about Trump putting kids in cages. They
Bro, the world moves on whether you're with it or not, okay?
can't even, for even a few minutes, get off of the narrative.
It's 48 hours later. A few minutes?
Or try to do the bidding of the Democrat Party. What's that like? I mean, that's got to be.
You're right. I think it's, you know, the Trump derangement syndrome, it runs deep, right? It was so bad that, I don't know if you know or not, if you saw this morning, but they couldn't even put Morning Joe on this morning. They had to pull.
Oh my God, these people are obnoxious.
Morning Joe this morning because they were worried that they couldn't control themselves, right?
Yeah, I mean, but isn't that
Like, I don't even know if that's true. They just make shit up.
an admission? Isn't it like that Morning Joe, we're not going to let him go on the air.
Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to hit that.
Joe this morning because they were worried that they couldn't control themselves, right?
Yeah, I mean, but isn't that an admission? Isn't it like that Morning Joe, we're not going to let him go on the air because we're worried they can't control themselves, that they'd say that this was a great thing, or like somebody of the accounts of saying, oh,
I have no idea what they're talking about.
can't believe they missed, you know, Jack Black and his band and all these Hollywood leftists. Isn't that an admission? Almost the perfect response to this clown.
You know what I find fascinating about this? They are, when I say they, I mean the people here on this thing here. These guys are denouncing violence and denouncing any encouragement of violence, saying it's wrong, it's evil, it's bad, you should never do it. Blah! Where were they when Gretchen Whitmer was attacked? Is this the same attitude that they had at the time? Hold on, I got evidence here for you. Yeah. This is Rick Wiles, massive Trump supporter. He's on DirecTV, extremely influential.
Governor Whitmer, who...
Governor Whitmer, by the way, there was an assassination attempt on her in 2020, and it failed because the FBI caught it before it happened.
Suffered a big political defeat last week when the Michigan Supreme Court said she didn't have the powers that she thought she had. So what happened today? She said that there was a militia plot to kidnap her.
She didn't say that. The FBI said that.
Now, I got something to say to the governor. Did you at all stop and think, what are you doing that drives middle-class, law-abiding tax?
Whoa. Hold on. Stop right there. Law-abiding? They literally tried to kill a governor, okay? They're murderers or attempted murderers. By definition, they are not law-abiding, but okay. Go on.
Class, law-abiding tax.
By the way, is there somebody in the comments who will take pity on this poor soul and tell me where the f I'm supposed to go right now? I am so lost. It's not even funny. It's a little funny.
Tax-paying citizens to think about kidnapping you. What are you doing? Are your policies so extreme, so radical, that you're pushing people over the line to say...
It doesn't matter how extreme her policies are or whatever. Either we live in a democracy where violence is acceptable, or we do not live in a democracy where it's acceptable. I don't want to live in an environment where violence is an acceptable form of political expression, if you will. So the point that I'm getting to here is that when this happened with governors previously, Republicans were blaming the governor, blaming the victim of the attack. Don't be like Rick Wiles, by the way. That's absolutely disgusting. Don't do it.
Who sort of went after me, that it was never Trump's rhetoric or his vitriol or this. It was the chaos and the vitriol created by a media. Trump has to respond to that. Someone calls you a traitor, you're there. If someone tries throwing you in jail for 700.
Like, do I need to pull up the tweets from Donald Trump? All the disgusting shit that this dude has said that has acted as stochastic terrorism. Do I need to pull this stuff up?
50 years, you got to respond.
Well, first of all, you got to remember, though, the last 2 weeks since the debate, they have been exposed.
Yeah.
They've been embarrassed.
Yeah.
Okay, they're looking for some way to get back some credibility. They lost.
That guy that's talking right now, I believe that's Tommy Tuberville, total scumbag. He is absolutely awful in every way. He's, in my opinion, also a traitor to the U.S. government.
It all. And it's just absolutely insane of how the deep state is handling all this. And it's not going to get any better. It's going to be 3 months of total chaos. And they're not going to make it. They're not going to let it get better.
How are you seeing this in Washington, Senator? I mean, are they worried? Obviously, the Senate map comes into play. Are the games still going on where they're trying to replace Joe and figure that out? Or are they kind of stuck with him at this point?
Well, they're stuck with him. But here's the deal. He's obviously got something wrong with him. He's older. He's got problems financially with all the things going on all over the world. But that's not going to get him. What's going to probably get him out of the race? He can't win. He can't beat your dad.
Joe Biden? No, I think that he's the best bet. And also, I want to mention something. Okay, everybody says that Biden is like demented, incapable of talking or whatever other thing. He seemed perfectly capable of giving a speech saying that, denouncing this violence. Biden is not cognitively impaired. He doesn't have like dementia or whatever. Okay. And to back that up, let me present a piece of evidence to you. An NBC article from 2016. Hillary Clinton's health scare, 9 unanswered questions. As Hillary Clinton's health moves from the fringes to the center of the 2016 presidential campaign, there's a lot we still don't know about her scare this weekend. What scare, I hear you saying? It was so irrelevant that nobody even remembers it today. I think she slipped getting out of her car or something. She didn't even hit the ground. She just bumped her foot on the curb or something. Here's what we know. Clinton was diagnosed with pneumonia on Friday. During a September 11th memorial event on Sunday at Ground Zero, she was unsteady and clearly needed help getting into a van after becoming overheated and dehydrated. And Clinton canceled a planned trip to California Monday. So the point is that media makes this shit up every single time. Every single time. You go to CNN and even AP News, I'm super disappointed to say, AP News is doing it too. Wall-to-wall coverage about Biden being demented or whatever, despite the fact that the dude is going out there and giving speeches like on a daily basis. And he's perfectly capable. He had one slip up in the debate. That was it. And it just, take a look at this article too from AP News. Biden at 81, often sharp and focused, but sometimes confused and forgetful. Let's see if we can pick out problems in this article with factual reporting or whatever, right? Often sharp and focused, but sometimes confused and forgetful. I don't like the title already. President Joe Biden's conduct behind closed doors, in the Oval Office, on Air Force One, and in meetings around the world is described in the same dual way by those who regularly see him in action. Who? Who describes it this way? Who are these people that see him in action? They are, on AP, this article, are using weasel words. They're referring to a group of people as though they've already defined the group of people, but they didn't. Like using the word they. If you use the word they, the subject has to already be defined first. Weasel words are when you don't define it. He's often sharp and focused, but he also has moments, particularly later in the evening. Right there, that's implying it's Alzheimer's disease because of sundowning. when his thoughts seem jumbled and he trails off mid-sentence or seems confused. Where'd they get this information? They aren't even saying anonymous source. And this is from one of my most trustworthy sources right here, AP News. Same shit with Hillary in 2016, okay? It's bullshit. It was bullshit then. It's bullshit now. The point is that this health scare stuff is just complete BS.
Well, but, you know, I would have said that, right? Everyone's, oh, you won the election on Saturday. I don't concede that even a little bit. Like, you know, at best, this is 50-50. There was a time where the Democrat Party would have maybe the shame to be like, we can only cheat so much. I don't think they care. If they showed up with 450 million ballots in a country of 330 million people.
This is just complete nonsense. There's no cheating going on by the Democratic Party. The 2020 election was the most secure election in U.S. history ever. You know why? Because the election workers knew, the people that were administrating it, knew that this was going to happen, that they were going to make all kinds of claims like this. So they did everything absolutely above board intentionally.
People, they'd be like, oh, no, it's totally legit. It's fair. Mr. Speaker?
And I say this to your dad all the time. He has decided to be a mortal threat to the entire establishment. That's why you get 51 intelligence officers signing a letter that's totally false. That's why.
Wait, what was that?
A mortal threat to the entire establishment. That's why you get 51 intelligence officers.
Okay, I don't know about 51 intelligence officers. I know that there were 40 intelligence officers that signed a letter affirming that this Hunter Biden laptop thing was Russian propaganda. And that's 100% true. It is and was Russian propaganda all along. Is that what he's talking about?
Signing a letter that's totally false. That's why you get the FBI engaged in totally illegal activities. That's why.
What activities?
You get the New York Times and the Washington Post winning Pulitzer Prizes for publishing lies because they've circled the wagons. And what's happened, of course, is, you know, and you've lived through it, it must be horrendous inside the family. Yeah. I mean, every time they attack him, he gets bigger. Yeah. And I tell reporters, I did this afternoon, he's not a candidate. He is the champion of a cause. And if you're the champion of a cause, when you get...
Like, what is the cause? White nationalism? I don't know.
Attacked, the entire cause is attacked. So Saturday, millions of Americans totally identified with him. And I think the left is driving the left crazy, and I think it worries me that they're going to get crazier as we get to what I think will be a victory. And you're exactly right. Don't slow down. Don't take it for granted. Don't assume anything. You got to run all the way through to the end.
Yeah, no, I
like, why even bother if this is what they believe? Why are they trying to convince their people so hard to go vote if it's such a lost cause? It's just, like, bizarre to me that they view things this way, and that their people, like, continue to believe them and vote. You know, claims of election fraud always depress the vote. Like, they make it lesser. Interestingly enough, to my knowledge, I could be wrong here, so don't quote me, and maybe somebody can correct me if I am wrong, but I believe during World War II, or like leading up to it, I believe that Hitler did literally every single thing that is happening in the United States, except he did not question election results, fascinatingly. I believe. Again, don't quote me.
I think without question. I mean, you know, hopefully, you know, I do see some really positive stuff online. People are like, you know what, I wasn't sure. Even some of the never Trump factions, but like, it was like that standing up in the face of that, that resolve, that strength. You know, 'cause again, everyone thinks they're a badass until they're actually tested. And, you know, someone did say something funny. They said, you know, if Joe Biden was shot at, he wouldn't even flinch. But it's because he wouldn't realize what was even going on. So it's a little.
But why is he even taking shots at him right now?
A little different. You don't get full credit for that. That's not the same. But, you know, hopefully that's an awakening. But I don't think it's going to stop the Democrats from pulling out everything in the playbook and
stuff we can't think of because we don't think as ruthlessly as they do. I mean, it's like having a policeman versus the mafia.
I think the other thing, Mr. Speaker, like you said, they'll lie, cheat, steal, and some of them will even potentially kill because they think that.
Once again, using the word they without defining the subject. Who is they in this scenario? Who is going to lie, cheat, and steal specifically? Is there a person you have in mind? Is there even a group? Are you saying that like Democrats are going to do this as a monolith? Like who? Who's going to do this?
That the end
Oops, sorry.
justifies the means, and that somehow that this is the duty that they have, that the laws just don't apply anymore, that anything goes. And I think that's the mindset that they're in. And we as Republicans, a party of law and order, we just can't.
This is just wild to me. These people are just rewriting history. They're rewriting reality right now. Things are literally the exact opposite of what they are portraying them here. Republicans, like these guys specifically, right here, not even just Republicans, let me get specific. These guys right here are doing exactly what they're accusing Democrats of doing.
That this is the duty that they have, that the laws just don't apply anymore, that anything goes. And I think that's the mindset that they're in. And
this ends justify the means mentality is a cult mindset. It's an extremist mindset that's really hard to get out of once you get there. Whatever happens, whatever I have to do to get to where I want to be is justified because the end is so important. So I want very much to, I don't know, get Donald Trump elected, for example. So I am justified in doing literally anything to save the country, like murdering political opponents or whatever. That's an ends justify the means mentality. And it is exactly where the Republican Party took people. I am so lost, dude. I've been up and down, backward and forward this entire area. Let me give game developers a little tip. If there are any game developers listening, don't make your game a fucking maze, okay? Mazes are not fun. Please. They're really annoying. And you know what? Make it a maze. You can make a maze, but give me some kind of a hint of sorts. Anything. Like some idea of where to go. I have been on every single floor like 60,000 times by now. And it's like super boring at this point. Your game is boring because it's like impossible to find my way through. Is that what you wanted, game developers?
We as Republicans, a party of law and order, we can't get our mind around that. We just wouldn't do that, So I think they're different. They're wired different.
But the problem they got,
they're wired different.
They have nothing to go to.
Right.
They have no policy that works.
That's right.
They broke our country. The border's wide open. They have nothing positive to go to. So what are they going to?
We have no policy? These guys are literally saying the exact opposite. In Germany in World War II, there were culture wars back then. People talked about cultural Marxism taking over all the time. They used to call it cultural Bolshevism. Bolshevism was the political party that led to communism. It eventually turned into the Communist Party. That is all they would talk about, cultural Bolshevism. The Republicans have nothing else going for them but culture wars. Democrats offer solutions and ideas, trying to raise the tax rate, for example. All Republicans want to do, these guys specifically, is remove people's ability to, or remove taxes from the rich, make it cheaper to be filthy rich. Great idea.
Going to do? They've got to do everything they possibly can do to go circle the wagons. But I don't think they can do that. I don't think they've got enough.
But it's why they're importing 20 million new voters.
Yeah.
Right? They're giving them so.
Right. Importing new voters. It's not how it works. Undocumented immigrants cannot vote.
Social security cards. They're trying to draft legislation that says, well, you're not allowed to vote, but you're not going to get penalized for it. They won't enforce it in the places that they control, which is going to be.
It's complete BS. Undocumented immigrants are not allowed to vote, have never been allowed to vote, certainly not in federal elections. You get a visa. If you want to come to the United States, you have to have a visa to get in. And if you're already here, then you need to get a visa showing that you're here and you're allowed to be here or whatever. Then you get a green card, and that's a long process. It's like a year-long, 2-year-long process sometimes. And then once you get the green card, you have to wait for 5 years with a permanent residence. Then you can apply for citizenship. And once you become a citizen after 5 to 7 years, this big long process, then you can vote after that whole thing. And also, lots of immigrants vote Republican, like especially Cuban immigrants. I don't know why, but anytime, probably because socialism and, Marxism and communism had a very bad effect on Cuban governments and things. That's my guess. But anyway, the point is that they're just making this up right now and demonizing immigrants in the process.
The urban areas and cities around the world that a country that matter and make sense. So they're literally trying to supplant the otherwise what would have been reliable voting blocks for them. And I guess my thing is, will there ever be any accountability for the lies they told us? Joe Biden, he's
what lies? What lies were told?
He's a moderate. Joe Biden is totally there. Joe Scarborough, I mean, they took him off the air, but a couple weeks ago, this is the greatest Joe Biden we've ever seen. There has to be a reckoning for this. They're lying.
For what?
Lying to our faces on a daily basis. They'll just keep doing it.
Part of the reckoning is ratings.
Well, I'm not worried about MSNBC ratings. It doesn't. They haven't had ratings for a long time, but the aggregate of all of that media still influences
that's exactly
incorrectly. Right. There are people unlike us who are not doing this day in and day out, who aren't watching everything, who aren't catching the lies, and they just assume if I'm seeing it on TV, there's got to be some truth to that. I think that credibility is waning, but it's
okay. Yeah, credibility is waning on Democrats' side. Totally.
Still exists.
One of your father's most brilliant innovations was the term fake news.
Huh?
They think that Donald Trump invented the term fake news. Did you guys hear what he just said? I gotta write this down. This is actually funny, like really funny. When was it? 16 minutes roughly. Donald Trump invented the term fake news. Do you know who actually invented the term fake news? Well, I don't know if they invented it, but it was used heavily. Hitler. He used the term Lügenpresse, lying press, fake news. It's like Trump got a copy of Hitler's speeches and plans and is just following it word for word. Seriously, it's bizarre.
That I think that credibility is waning, but it still exists.
One of your father's most brilliant innovations was the term fake news.
Huh?
I was actually in a museum in Turin, Italy. The guy's showing me an Egyptian artifact, and he says, "They're going to tell you this story." Fake news. I'm thinking, this is an Italian tour guide using your father's language. Because
it's Hitler's language, not Donald Trump's language. But okay.
It suddenly resonated that that's what you're getting. Yeah. The CNN the other day, they had to take your dad off because he fell.
For those of you who didn't see that, in what was a flagrant and clear assassination attempt, it wasn't like this headline was put out before everyone knew exactly what it was. Secret Service removes Trump because he fell, because that's the problem. That's their whole thing.
Okay, I didn't see that. I don't know what the hell they're talking about, but CNN is now owned by a billionaire as of pretty recently and is moving to the right currently as we speak. It's moving to the right. It's becoming like another Fox News basically right now, unfortunately. So I have no idea what he's talking about, but in my opinion, I think they did the right thing by not saying this was an assassination attempt, by just reporting exactly what they saw and nothing else. That was the right way to do it, because anything else could have been misleading or confusing or whatever. It was a good idea to just leave it at that. But even when the press does something correctly, these people criticize it and say, "Oh, Lügenpresse, lying press."
It's the equivocate. Everything's the same as that. It's projection. Because Joe Biden would have probably just fallen and falls on a regular basis. They tried to make it the same. These two they're equal. It's no. Right. Trump was shot and he got up in seconds, defiant, yelling to fight, to not stop.
Oh, please.
But to reinforce Tommy's point, I keep telling people, the real threat to America is not Joe Biden's brain. It's Joe Biden's policies.
Correct.
And the policies are destructive at every level.
Which ones, specifically? How are they destructive? What do the policies do that is so bad? There are no policies of Joe Biden's that are destructive or whatever, the way he's describing. Honestly, Biden's policies are just okay. They're just okay. That's it.
And if Joe Biden disappeared in the morning, Kamala would be worse. Newsom would be worse. So we have to, and the media would rather focus on Joe Biden's weakness than be honest, because it's their policies that are failing.
But do you think it's really Joe Biden's policies? Meaning, I don't think Joe Biden's coming up with these things. I don't think.
Well, of course he's not. Donald Trump didn't come up with any of his policies either. What are you talking about? This stuff is all created by like think tanks and long traditions of political analysis. What? Did you expect Joe Biden to be sitting there tapping a pencil on a piece of paper like he's Eminem in 8 Mile sitting on the bus or something?
Like an 80-year-old, Catholic guy is, trans surgeries for 3-year-olds is the social justice issue of our time.
Trans surgeries for 3-year-olds? That has literally never happened, ever. It is against the law to give elective trans surgeries under the age of 18. There are some very unique circumstances where, there's an intersex person and it needs to be dealt with through surgery. Otherwise, it does not happen, ever. There's never, medical intervention that way. Certainly not for, 3-year-olds. Where the hell am I supposed to be going? I am so lost, it's not funny.
I don't see that, but I do see that coming from more radical factions of the Democratic Party who seem to use him as a puppet.
He didn't even know about half of them, I'm sure. He's not read into most of what happens.
Yeah, I interviewed Ronnie in 2020 when he was the White House doctor when I was writing my second book, Liberal Privilege, literally about Joe Biden and his brain aneurysms and the very clear decline.
Oh, my God, dude.
So if a guy like me, I basically had a little extra free time on my hand because everything was locked down in the summer of 2020 that I wrote a book about it. And yet the entire media establishment complex is the greatest we've ever seen up till 3 weeks ago.
The mainstream media has been paid to lie for the past 3 years, 4 years.
Mainstream media has been paid to lie. Paid by who? Or whom? Is it whom? I think it's whom. Who paid the media to lie? What are you talking about specifically? What are you claiming some foreign government is paying the media to lie? It's a really weird accusation, especially after he just mirrored exactly what they're doing, like the people on this show.
4 years, 5 years. They've been paid. Yeah. They've been caught. They have been caught, and who was caught? They have got to get themselves out of this jam. The only guy that can save this mainstream media is Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He puts them puts their ratings way up, and he's the only one that can save them, unfortunately. But
I'll say also, Coach, one of the things you reminded me that I wanted to say was, look, I think that you're absolutely right, Don. We can't take anything for granted. We got to drive this car like we stole it. We got to,
drive this car like we stole it. That's an interesting one. Blows my mind he can play while listening and responding to nonsense. Yeah, this is mindless to me. Final Fantasy VII, it's mindless. I'm just running around doing whatever. There are some games that I have to focus on that I learned I cannot play. Like Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo. Can't play that while talking about this stuff. Just cannot do it. Takes too much concentration. And that game is brutally difficult. Anyway, yeah, let's continue listening.
To get every vote out we possibly can. But two things happened recently. I think you mentioned that most people don't follow politics on a day-to-day basis like we do, but tons of people, an overwhelming number of people watched the debate, and an overwhelming number of people watched the assassination attempt, whether they watched it when it's happening or they watched it afterwards. And those people that really weren't tracking the politics, they saw two things. They saw the miserable cognitive disaster that Joe Biden actually is, and the unbelievable inability for him to even put together a sentence, much less lead this country.
I do think that just from a strategic standpoint or whatever, I think that Joe Biden did come across as incapable of communicating and kind of out of it, even though he's not. So there's that. But then he delivered a speech immediately after Trump got hit about how political violence is wrong. So I don't know how people can misinterpret or view it that way still or whatever. Oh God, I don't want to fight any more battles. I just want to get out of here.
Simultaneously, they saw your dad stand up with blood all over his face, thrust his fist into the air, right? The warrior spirit just came out, right? I mean, and they said, this is a leader, this is a warrior. And the contrast between those two.
What, the warrior, the leader that dropped to the floor so hard that he lost his shoes? Are we talking about the same leader? Again, I would do the same thing, but I'm not claiming to be some leader/warrior. The dude fell to pieces the moment that he thought his life might be in danger. You think that Donald Trump ripped his shirt off like this and swung it off and said, "Come at me. I'm going to beat your ass. Take those bullets and shoot them right here. I'm going to eat them with my teeth." You think that's what happened? You think that's what Trump did? No. He dropped to the floor. He's not some incredible Hulk character who's like amazing or whatever. I get so like weirded out when we see pictures of, wait, let me see. Trump AI soldier. Do I dare do the image search here? Here, look at this. There are so many images of Donald Trump as a soldier. It's weird now. Look, they put his face on this soldier's guy like body. What the hell? Look, he's a Spartan in this. This is a Spartan, right? I don't remember. Is this Roman or Spartan? Look, they put him in the Revolutionary War, I believe is what this is, because blue coats and gray coats. That's revolutionary, isn't it? Because, no, wait. Was that Civil War? Maybe that was Civil War. Anyway, they put his face on everything, and it's weird. Look at this. Look at this. You think the dude, look, okay, you think he rips his shirt off and stops the bullets with his bare chest? Think that's what's happening? I'll grant you this, okay? I'll give you this one. Maybe Trump thought if I put on enough orange makeup, if I smear it on my face enough, maybe it'll stop bullets, if there's enough of it. That could have been his thinking as he jumped to the ground out of fear. Disregarding dark humor to cope with tragedy, not only are they in bad taste, but jokes people are making about the attempt missing are probably putting them on a list. Be smart and safe, guys. Yeah, don't make the jokes. I agree. Probably not best. He was a president, and free speech in America extends a really long way, but it does not extend to expressing an interest in killing the president. You cannot say that. That is illegal. Okay? Be careful about this stuff. Seriously. Besides, in all seriousness, I don't want anybody to die. I don't wish death on anybody. Not going to cry if I read his obituary, but I'm not going to wish that it would happen to him. Anyway, God, these people are weird. Anyway, tell what you think about that in the comments. These people are just ridiculous.